let's go back to some changes for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Broderick Jones replaces Chuks Okorafor as the right tackle. According to Chuks, it was an incident after the Jaguars game on Sunday that forced the decision, and the Steelers went with the rookie at right tackle over the 6-year vet. Chuks is his cap hit, I believe, is just under $20 million this season. They do not have an out until after the year, where I believe his dead cap next year is just over $3 million. So that's available, but he is your most expensive offensive lineman this year, including Isaac Seumalo and James Daniels, who are both signed in free agency. Broderick looked good in my opinion. Do you got thoughts?
Yeah, I thought he looked really good. I mean, the team numbers kind of tell you the story. I mean, 165 yards rushing, that was the best the run game has looked in how long? Like, freaking while.
All year.
Yeah, and then no sacks on a night where you couldn't afford to let Kenny take any hits, Like, it seemed like I got the sense from the way he talked this week, that rib injury was precarious, It was delicate. It was a delicate situation, and they handled him with care. No sacks against that defensive line is huge. That is great, and Broderick played his part in it. He looked athletic, getting to the second level to block on a bunch of these runs and spring some big ones for Najee and Jalen. And that run game, like, saved him, Like, they needed the run game to get going so badly, and they were able to kickstart it, and Broderick was a big part of that, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. I was expecting some struggles. I thought that, the rookie going from the left side, his natural position, to the right side, this was going to be bad. It was going to draw a ton of concern for him moving forward. No, Broderick looked like a stud. Now my only concern is if you rock him at right tackle all season and then you move him to the left side next year, is he still going to be good? Or is it going to give you an excuse to just say, oh, well, Dan Moore's fine and this is our offensive line, which maybe I'm okay with, but I would rather Broderick to be on the left side and then you go find a right tackle either in the draft or somewhere else. I mean, do I even have to ask this? Does Chuks start again this season?
No way. You can't send Chuks back out there. Like, I don't know what the incident was. I don't know what he did. I don't know the extent of it, but even if he didn't have any kind of, anything disciplinary hanging above him, Broderick was way too good, I think, to bench him. Like, I think until Broderick stinks, quite honestly, like, you got to treat Broderick like he's a veteran. Like, this is a normal situation, because he looked so beyond what you thought a rookie would look like. He was not perfect, I guess, but he was damn close. Like, you didn't notice him at all, which for an offensive line is, well, that's not true. I did notice him. But I mean, you weren't sitting there going,
you noticed him in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. And, for an offensive lineman to stay relatively quiet is pretty good. You just kind of looked up at halftime and you're in like, Kenny's jersey's pretty clean. They're running the ball real well. Like, this is good. This is good. No complaints. Yeah. And he was, so no. I just don't see how you could put Chuks back in there after a night like Broderick had.
No, I agree. And like, you think about it, like, was there any offensive linemen that were complained about last night? Nobody was complaining about Dan Moore. Nobody was complaining about Mason Cole. Nobody was complaining about Broderick Jones. It was just a good offensive line play. And maybe it's just that simple. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a guy, Kenny said it afterwards. He's like, yo, Broderick brings so much energy. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need some young energy out there to just like get everybody going and feel confident in these guys. And I don't know what happened with Chuks, but if he said something after the Jaguars game that he shouldn't have said as a 6-year vet, maybe leadership-wise, he's not the guy that you want out there, and morale-wise, he's not the guy that you want out there. I think talent alone, Broderick Jones starts the rest of the season, and you're crazy if you make the move. Like, just how good the running game was last night, it was enough for me to say, like, oh, okay, well, like, why would you want to go back? Najee Harris ran faster than I've ever seen Najee Harris run in his entire life. Jalen Warren was explosive. Broderick Jones was pulling from the right side to the left side on runs, like Trent Williams style blocking. It was all around great. And to make that, I mean, you can't make that move. You can't. I know Chuks maybe is just a 1-game discipline, but I don't care if he's your most expensive lineman at this point in the season. Whatever, it's there. It's a loss. We're 9 weeks into this thing. just start the rookie. Like, you're not taking a cap hit at this point. It's already happened. Like, who
Right,
cares
yeah.
if your most expensive lineman is on the bench? You made a mistake. Who cares?
Yeah, you already eaten that money. Don't like double down on it just because
Yeah.
you're paying him that money. Yeah. Broderick was, so if I remember correctly, like his knock coming out of the draft was decent pass blocker, but struggles in the run game, like struggles to be a little physical
No,
there.
opposite.
Oh,
Great
really?
run
Okay.
blocker.
Well,
Yeah,
then this
great
was,
run blocker, super athletic, struggled in the pass game.
well, I mean okay. Then that makes a lot more sense what we saw last night. But even like, I mean,
Yeah.
even in pass pro, like 0 sacks is 0 sacks. Like that's real
Yep.
good. I mean, he also,
I don't even think he gave
I'll,
up a pressure.
yeah, I'll be interested to see like, okay, the competition is going to take a step up, after this Packers game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's Browns and Bengals are back to back after that.
Yeah, Packers, Cleveland, Cincy, Arizona.
Okay, so those Browns and Bengals games are going to be pretty telling. I feel like that's where you're really gonna see if you got something here, because Titans got a decent pass rush, but they're not elite on the level of Cleveland and Cincinnati, who you're going to see more often. You're going to see those guys twice a year. So that's when I think we can really start to make some serious judgments about Broderick, but you got to leave him in to answer those tests and to let those guys challenge him and see what you got.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. That's the easiest decision the Pittsburgh Steelers can make moving forward. The other one is that Joey Porter Jr. should always mirror the star wide receiver for an opposing team. Like, that was the most badass thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers have done all season long, is Joey going up to the coaches at halftime and saying, yo, look, I want Hopkins, man. Just put me out. I'll shut him down. And it worked. Like, that guy had 3 touchdowns on 4 receptions last week. And this week he did absolutely nothing. I mean, you got 2 guys that you looked at this draft class 3 weeks ago and you were like, okay, Joey looks good, but like, we have no idea what he's going to do in a starting role. Broderick, he looked good in the one start, but like, again, like,
we haven't really seen.
We have no idea. Yeah, you're entering week 10 and you're just like, this is a great draft class. Actually, this is Keanu Benton looked real good last night. Like, Darnell Washington caught a pass. Darnell Washington caught a pass last night.
Everybody,
it was a good one for the draft class. Everybody had fun. Nick Herbig's been playing well. It was a great night for the Pittsburgh Steelers draft class. And I think that's where you go from here. You know what I mean? Like, just build on your young guys and say, hey, let's start utilizing this talent in the back half of the season and see if it carries us, because the veterans had the Steelers here. And I like, that's a winning record maybe, but I think you just add a little boost to talent and, you start to rise. And I think that we saw that especially with Broderick, but Joey Porter too, man. He had one hell of a game.